Hello, I'm Dr. Tamara Green, and this is the TJG News Broadcast for Wednesday, May 12th, 2021. Last week, we were discussing some of the research we were conducting in distributed databases, and this week we're going to discuss some of our ongoing research in labor markets. The labor markets have been changing quite dramatically over the past decade with the introduction of new types of labor mechanisms such as contract labor, labor platforms. And these changes are not just occurring in one nation, they're international changes that have been driven by a number of different factors. One of the influences to the labor markets is globalization. It's the reliance of nations on each other through trade and international agreements, and globalization has also had an impact on labor markets with multinational corporations not only interacting with other countries through trade but also through labor as well. Labor to produce the products that are grown and shipped internationally, and to gather the natural resources required to build certain products, and with the multinational corporations working in other countries and relying on labor in those countries, the labor that is sourced is also one of the reasons why the changes in the labor market are an international change. And most recently, the research that we've been conducting was on the labor markets in higher education, where a lot of universities and colleges, they have recently been employing a lot of contract labor for faculty, and so we are researching how the changes to all labor markets impact higher education. And another influence to the changes in labor markets are the political changes that have been taking place around the world. There's been a rise in populist ideas in governments, and this has also impacted how the governments develop policies towards labor, and also how they view the international labor market. So a rise in ideals that are more nationalist as opposed to globalist, that has an effect on how both nations and regional organizations develop trade agreements and regulations for labor. So with the rise of populist ideas and nationalist ideas in government globally, this has somewhat dwindled the concept of international global labor market, because now a lot of nations, they want to develop their own policies and their own trade agreements, as opposed to relying on the regional and international organizations. And so with these changes in the arrangement of labor, part of the impact has been that there have been certain types of growth in informal labor. So examples of informal labor are, there's a wide range of informal labor, such as unpaid labor, contract assignments, or what is often heralded as the gig economy. So those are examples of informal labor, whereas formal labor is where the agreement between the employer and the employee is set out and well defined, and the employer also provides certain protections required by the legal entities of the nation for the employee. And the growth of informal labor is also a global condition that has been influenced by these factors of globalization. And part of the research that we have been conducting most recently is just pinpointing how these type of changes in labor markets are occurring in the world of higher education. And that research also entails analysis or comparison between larger research institutions and also small research institutions. So we're evaluating how changes in the labor market affect smaller research institutions as opposed to larger research institutions, similarly to how with corporations, how larger corporations would be affected as opposed to smaller businesses in the policies of globalization for international labor markets. So that is the research that we're currently working on, and feel free to visit the website at tjgnews.com or softwaretestnews.com for more information. You can also support TJG News by subscribing. And thank you for participating in this broadcast for today. Thank you.